Consider this situation. A friend of yours has been acting really strange lately. She's usually outgoing and talkative, but lately she seemed like she's had a shadow over her head. So, wanting to make sure she's okay and be a really good friend, you surprise her in her office with her favorite cup of coffee and tell her that you've been concerned about her. Moved by your compassion, she closes the door and begins to confess to you that a few days earlier she'd stolen a $10,000 bracelet that hadn't been properly stored away, and that the guilt has been eating her away. She also said that she immediately regretted what she did, but she didn't want to turn herself in because she's a high level executive and the admission alone would ruin her career, let alone her life. Then she makes you promise that you won't say anything. And being her good friend and colleague, you agree that you're not going to turn her in or tell on her. The next week, as you're going into work, as you arrive, you see that the police are hauling away one of the overnight workers from the cleanup crew. When you inquire about what happened, another one of your colleagues says they finally caught the person that stole that bracelet. What do you do next? Would you let an innocent person be charged with a crime that you know they didn't commit? Would you call the police and tell on your friend, confessing that you know who stole the bracelet? Would you tell your friend that they have to turn themselves in or you're going to do it for them? This is called an ethical dilemma. It's a situation where a person is faced with choosing between a few courses of actions that have moral or ethical ramifications. Ethical dilemmas are great as conversation starters when you're just hanging out with friends or even philosophy classes. But as I recently discovered, if they're used correctly, they can also be really great ways of creating what is called a learning community. I first saw this in action when I stumbled across a YouTube video about the case study method that the Harvard Business School uses in some of their courses as they're trying to train future business leaders. Now, I know that this sounds like a really nerdy thing to say, but that video was amazing because instead of the normal boring classroom where a teacher drones on and on trying to get the information out of their heads and into the heads of their students, the entire class was engaged in a lively discussion about how they would respond in a certain business-related ethical dilemma. Seeing this video really piqued my interest because as a pastor and someone who considers myself a teacher in the school of life, I'm always interested in learning the best ways of educating people that leads to real growth and transformation. So I started doing my own research about ethical dilemmas and discussion-based learning and the case study method as well. While I'm doing all this, it's around the same time that the world around us seemed to be getting more and more polarized. The way I saw people discussing politics, discussing things like Black Lives Matter, critical race theory, the economy, and many other conversations, they seem to lack the nuance, perspective, trust, and a desire to learn that's really important. And it seemed to me like the world was really begging for a way to talk about the important issues in a manner that was constructive and would bring people together, but the reverse was happening. This is when I began dreaming about what it would look like to create a local TV show that was focused on my neighborhood, where we discuss the issues that really matter using ethical dilemmas or the case study method. Could it create a learning community here like it's done in other settings like the Harvard Business School and many other settings where they've used this discussion-based or ethical dilemma-based method of teaching and learning? Now, I don't know if the answer to that question is yes, but I definitely want to find out. So I've created a show called Consider This, where I can put this idea to the test. It may be that I'm way off base and no one's interested in this sort of thing but me. It's happened before. But I really do believe that there's a lot of gold that can be mined from communities when we take time to wrestle with important issues in constructive ways that lead to community learning. So I got to give it a shot. And I need your help. If you're interested in strengthening the soul of communities, consider helping me fund this pilot episode and create a community event so that we can test this concept out in Wyoming, Ohio. Click the link in the description or visit modernmagi.net to find out exactly how you can help. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.